This daf Yerushalmi Shekalim. The article also additional daf Lamed Tes Amal Ksiv, which is the fifth line down, and in the Vilna Yerushalmi, that's on daf Chav Gimel Chav Beis on the base, and the Vilna Bavli Yerushalmi, it's on daf Yudal on base, 5 lines above where Halacha Gimel begins. And yesterday we said there's a machlekes, how did Moshe Rabbeinu come rich from the remainder of Snapir known stone from which he quarried the second luchos, or from a quarry of precious stones which appeared in his tent. But in any event, as we shall see, there are people who look askance at Moshe Rabbeinu, because even at Moshe Rabbeinu, people look askance when there's money involved, and especially if Moshe Rabbeinu became wealthy. So therefore, anytime a gabos is done, a monetary manner, is supposed to never do it alone, but it's supposed to do with somebody else, at least 2 people. So therefore, there'll be less of a reason to be for people to say that the one individual involved is corrupt. But the point is, it's not one individual, because even if even Moshe Rabbeinu, people said negative things concerning him, certainly about every other person. And that's what it's about to say. It's a machlekes, actually, if they say negative things about Moshe Rabbeinu. So it says they used to look at Moshe Rabbeinu, pasuk in Shmos Lamagimel Ches, Vayok says Moshe Oel, Yakumu Kolam. And Moshe went out to Oel, which he made distant from the camp. After Chet Egel, everybody arose. V'nitzu ish bes Oel, and Peter would stand at the openings of the tent. Moshe Ba'Olah, and they looked at Moshe until he came into his tent. So Ksivi Bitu Achrei Moshe Ad Ba'Olah, Train Amorim. 2 Amorim discussed this. Chad Amar L'Gnai, one says it was they looked at Moshe askance. Chad Amar L'Shvai looked at Moshe in a positive way. So a negative, one positive. Mad Amar L'Gnai, he said that there was negative. They said Chamun Shakin, see his thighs. Chamun Karin, see his calves. Chamun Kupton, see his flesh. Words. Moshe Rabbeinu, look at how healthy and large he is. He eats from the Jews. Shasim in Yudai, drinking from the Jews. Of course, that's an anachronism. They weren't called Yehudim back then. They were called Bnei Yisrael. But the point is that this is what people were saying contemporary times. So therefore, they're saying, but Moshe Rabbeinu said the same thing. Call me delay min Yudai. Anything he has is from the Jews. In other words, he was skimming off the top. So, and they say about Moshe Rabbeinu. So, Achas Kam Makam, everybody else has to be careful about these things. The article felt it was important to say the name of the Alei Tamar, based on Targum Yonason, that these negative things are said by the lowlifes among the people, not Chas V'Shalom, the majority of Am Yisrael, which I'm sure is true. But Umanim L'Shvach, the people who said was L'Shvach, said, I know they were looking at Moshe Rabbeinu because Mechame Tzadikaya. They wanted to look at the Tzadik, and it's a great schus to see the Tzadikaya. Umizake Tovaya, and it's a schus for good people to look at the Tzadikim. I'm sorry. Actually, there are the way the article parts it. Umizakei Tuvaya the Zachal Mchamiyase. So it's a schus lookim, and it's a praiseworthy for people who are able to see him. Could also be read Mizakei Tuvaya. It's good. It's a schus for good people. The Zachal Mchamiyase who were able to see him. So either it's Mizakei Tuvaya Zachal Mchamiyase, or Mizakei Tuvaya Zaya. It's good for people to Zachal Mchamiyase to see him. But the truth is that the word Tuvaya itself is superfluous, and as Nishun's Chos brings out, it's in the Yerushalmi Kiddushin, it's not there. So just say Mizake the Zachal Mechame Yosei. It's a praiseworthy to be able to see him. The Talmud means down the gears Halavai Mizke. Halavai Shenitzke Ros Tzadikaya Tov Shezachisi Roso. Okay, so the it should be Halavai Mizake Tovet the Zachis and Mechame Yosei. Okay, in any event, whatever gears you have, we get the point. Okay, now The next Mishnah goes into the chosamos, which are in the Mishnah. Arba locha gimel. Arba chosamos yom mikdash. There are 4 seals in the base of mikdash. They're like tickets to get you in the sachim. Kosalem egel zachar gedi v'chote. It said calf, male, young goat, and sinner. Okay, so now in order to understand this, we have to. It's good to give us some background about Nesachim in general. So, Nesachim, there was separate from the Keves Omer, which had its own Nesachim, the Keves which brought the Korban Omer on the second day Pesach. There were 3 levels of Nesachim. For a Keves A's or Kisba, which is a young sheep, male, any type of goat, no matter how old, and any type of female sheep, no matter how old. Okay, Keves A's or Kisva, there was, you brought 1 soles, 1 eson of soles, and a quarter of a hin, revi sahin, of oil and wine. Okay, for an ayil, which is a male sheep, a ram, which is in its 2nd year of life and above. So then, for that you brought 2 esronim, shnei esronim soles, and you brought a third, shlishi sahin of wine and oil. Okay, that's the Psukim bar by Keves HaMakrivka Ikriba Makrivka Amel Hashem Mincha Solas Yisaron Balur Visain Shemen V'yayin Lanesach Visain Taseh Ololo Lazabach LaKeves Achad. And that applied not just to the young sheep, male sheep, under year old, but also to any goat and any female sheep or goat. Again, the ayil, the ram, specifically the male sheep above a year old, that's a different. It's the next pasuk. This is by Midbar Tezvav, and there it says Ol ayil taseh mincha sol shnei esunim b'lo b'shem shlishi sayin v'yan nesach shlishi sayin takriv reach nichach l'shem. Then for a bakar, which is either a calf or a full-grown cattle of any sort, so then you bring 3 esronim of solas and half a hin of oil and wine, and that's possible. It's the next to come up psukim actually in my neighborhood. That's why Yekiva ben bakar michal solas shlosh sanim balur b'shem chatziyahin v'yan tekliv nes chatziyin yisherech nichal Hashem. So the flour and the oil got mixed together, and that was the mincha, and the wine was separately poured on the mizbeach as a nesach. Okay, but in general they're all called nesachim, in the larger sense. So now most animals which were chatos and hashamas did not have nesachim. No nesachim. The exception was by Mitzorah, and that also been in our Mishnah, right? Mitzorah, there were nesachim, and we'll explain that in a minute. Okay, so again, normally the karbanos which you brought nesachim were shlomer olos. Mitzorah is different. Okay, so now let's see the Mishnah. That's no matter what cattle it is, what age. Zochar, that's a ram, which is an ayil, right? That's 2 years old, in the 2nd year of life and on. Gedi, which is a young goat, and that includes also any age of female sheep, and of course any age of goat. Uchote, which is a mitzorah. Okay, so let's see the Korban Eder, and he explains everything we just said in greater detail. Says 3 for the different levels of the Sachim of the animals. Chosam Mishal Niske Bakar. The first tzia was for Niske Bakar. Beim Shlosha, name Soles, Balu B'Chatzi Ahin, Hin Shemen, B'yan Es Chatzi Ahin, V'Chosamo Ego. For the cattle, the Chosam said Ego. Vashri Zachar Niske, it says Zachar, which is Niske Ayel. Shetagim Ayel Dichra, because the translation of Ayel is Dichra, which is male. The Sachar Shnei Esonim Soles Bulu B'Shemen Shlishi Sahin, V'yan Es Shlishi Sahin. Again, the Sachim which we spoke about before. Vashlishi Gedi, which is Niske Keves Ben Shlosa, it's for a sheep in its first year of life. Hen Yisron Soles Bulu B'Sahin Shemen, V'yan Es Sahin. Oh, that we explained so far. V'Avi Chote. This one we didn't explain. The fourth one is Chote. V'en the Sachim Shem Mitzorah Asher. That's in the Sachim of a Mitzorah who's rich. She maybe Sholish Behemos. He brings 3 animals. Tzorach Asor Lukin Shem, needs 10 log of oil. Tish Lishlosha Kvasim. 9 log for the 3 Kvasim which he brings. The 3 animals. And one of them needs another log for putting on his on his thumbs and his big toes and on his ear, which is an application made of oil to a mitzvah who becomes tar. The kaile chote is called a sinner mishum now shiva averos negoyim boim, because you get your saras because on account of one of 7 averos which you committed. The Pnei Moshe a little bit more explicit. He says that the for Mitzorah there's 2 kvasim and a kipsa achas, which are chatos, arsham, and ola. All right, and each one of them he brings his the sachim, which are as we mentioned before, and the revis and shem and revis yain. Now, one other detail which I think we have to make clear for those of us who don't know the thing of these terms is that a hin is 12 log. Okay, so therefore, if a hin is 12 log, for getting back to the karbanos of the chote, so he brings a revi'is hahin for each karban, right? Revi'is hahin is a quarter of a hin, right? A quarter of that means 3 log, right? 12 log in a hin. Revi'is hahin is 3, right? Quarter, 3 times 4. And therefore, the Mechote brings, Mechote Asher, as we shall see, brings 10 log, right? 3 log for each of his animals, which is the Revi'is hahin for each animal. And then the additional log for the Matan Bahonos and Tanuch. Okay, now there was also that's a Chote Asher who brings animals. But a Chote Dal, a Mitzorah who's impoverished. So he brings different karbanos. And the Pnei Moshe explains the Mitzorah Dalu, maybe Keves Echad L'Asham. He brings 1 animal, one Keves for Asham, with the Mincha V'Nisko, with his Mincha Nesech, and he brings an additional Log Shem and Lamatan Bahonos. Okay, and this is we're going to come back to that in a minute. So because Ben Azai mentions this, so when it says so far we have Ego Zachar Gedi V'Chote, right? Ben Azai Merchamishayu. There are 5. Okay. And also he argues that not only the 5, it says they're written in Aramaic because that was the lingua franca, the common language of the day. Ego, Zachar, Gedi, Chote Dal, V'Chote Asher. Okay, so the main difference here is Ayel is mentioned as Zachar, but anyway, the maybe the other ones are also in Aramaic. I'm not sure, but the Chote Dal, Chote Asher, he held that we need 2 chotamos for Mitzorah, right? Because Chote Asher brings 10 luk, right? And the Chote Dal has to bring only 4 luk. 3 for the karban, for the one animal he brings, and 1 for the matan, tanuch, and it's bonos. So you need a fifth chosom for him. Okay, the Gemara is going to discuss why, according to Rabbanan, we don't need a chosom for him. Kedim Mishamesh, Egel Mishamesh, Im Niske Bakar, the seal of Egel, that ticket was used for Niske Bakar, Gedon Ketanim, Schem Nekevos. It doesn't matter whether your cattle you bring is old or young, male or female, it's all the same. Kedi, which is a young goat, Mishameshim Niske Tzon, it is serviceable for the Nesachim of sheep, Gedolim Uktanim, young or old. Now here, meaning here, goats specifically. Zcharim in a cave, Zcharim in a cave, man, female. Well, it's not specifically. It's including everything together. Chutz Yerushalmi. The main thing is not rams. Rams are separate. Rams, which is male sheep, in its second year of life and above, that's it's as its own category. And the aisle was the ticket which used only for aisle. There were no other ones which went along with it. And the one of Chote is was with the three was brought within the Nesachim of the three animals of Mitzvah plus his additional look. Mishum Bakish Nesachim, so we need Nesachim. It's a Yochanan. He went to Yochanan Shemuna Chosamos, who was in charge of the seals. He gave him money. Mekabel Meno Chosim received the seal. But it's Achil. So then he came to Achil. Shumemuna Nesachim was in charge of Nesachim. Nosi Chosim. He gives him a seal. Mekabel Meno Nesachim. He gets him Nesachim. In the evening, they come to each other to reconcile the accounts. Achia takes out the seals he received, for which he had delivered Nesachim, and he receives the money for the Nesachim, which he had dispensed in the course of the day. And in Pachsu, if there's too little money to pay for all the Nesachim, the accounts don't tally, Pachsulo. So then the deficit is charged to the personal account of Yochanan. B'sham Yochanan Beso has to pay from his own household. If there's too much money, then of course Yad Hekdesh Shel Yonah, as I was about to say, then the additional money which somehow got into the system, that goes to Hekdesh, because always Hekdesh has the upper hand. Hekdesh meaning that if there's surplus funds, it goes to Hekdesh. If there's a deficit, then Yochanan makes it up. Okay, Misha Ava Chosamo, somebody who lost their seal in the course of the day. Mantil Lord Erev, wait till nightfall. If they find a discrepancy which tallies with the amount that he claims was in the seal, they'll steam lo, you give it to him. If not, they wouldn't give it to him. And they would say which day it was. In other words, these seals were not. They would say what day of the week it was, in order to prevent somebody from being it on a different day, because prices fluctuated. So somebody could hoard up seals on a day where the price is cheap and bring it back on a different day when the price is more expensive, and they get the korbanos for less than their price. So therefore, it said which day it was, minei ramoim, in order that people should not try and trick Hekdesh. That's the second shot Korban Eda. For the first shot of the Korban Eda is that he says Shema Motzah Chesim Shalom Chavero. Maybe found somebody which fell from his friend, and of course in the same day he couldn't bring it because they asked him what he bring a second Korban for. But it could come another day, and maybe resell it then to somebody else at a discount price. So according to first second shot of Korban Eda, we're afraid that he himself is going to produce on a different day, and then he's going to get profit thereby. According to the first shot, he will. He's always going to produce on a different day. So therefore, either because he's going to get benefit because of the discrepancy in price, or because he's going to get somebody else's nesachim from which who lost this one, and again, it's going to benefit because he's going to get it for free, and then turn around perhaps and sell somebody else. Okay. So that's a have to have the day. That nobody can benefit off waiting for another day. Okay, so now the Gemara gets into this machlekes which we had about whether there's a separate chaysim for a chote dal. Menaz a chote dal lama. Uh, uh, why do you have an extra chaysim for the chote dal? Maybe logo imo because it'll bring the extra log with it. So we're given this chaysim dal was for the we give him 4 lug, right? 3 for his korban and 1 for the for his matan bonus and tnuch. Rabbanan maybe gdi, but like Rabbanan, no, they would just give him the same chosim as anybody else for a gdi. Okay, so the Tachachadin says. I mean, obviously, unfortunately, we ask the question as well. But why? What do you mean? He needs to bring 4 log. Why are we only giving chosim v'gedi? So Tachachadin says very interestingly. He says that the odds are that if somebody was bringing a log from home, he saved money on it. Because the hektish on the Yonah, they charge a higher price. So therefore, from Mitzorah Ashir, they figured, okay, he can absorb the extra cost, and therefore, especially once they bring it anyway, 9 of his 10 logim he has to buy from the mikdash. The extra log, which doesn't correspond to the korban, also he buys from the base of mikdash. But the Mitzorah Oni, we want to save him some money. So if we say, you know what, we require to buy all Nesachim, low plug, for the korban itself from the base of mikdash. But the extra log that you can bring from your own house. The Tiferes Yisrael adds a little bit of explanation, which I guess is obvious if you think about it, which is that the whole reason they made you buy the oil, the Liberia, the Nesachim from the base of mikdash is because they're more meticulous in Tara. And there was reason to be makbid on the Nesachim which were brought on top of the Mizbech itself. But the oil which is brought for Matan Nuchim Bahonos never got the Mizbech. Went directly to the person. So therefore, you weren't so makbid on its Tara. And therefore, according to Rabbanan, you're allowed to bring it from your own home. They didn't require you to purchase it. So for the Mitzorah Ashir, since it's purchasing 9 out of 10, they bring and purchase the additional one from Hektish anyway. But for the Mitzorah Ani, they allow him to bring it from his house. By the way, the Mitzorah Ani, he brings 1 korban of animal and 2 birds. And birds are known as Sachim. That's why it's known as, they only have to bring the Sachim 1 korban, even though he's bringing 3 korbanos, because the other 2 korbanos are birds, not animals. Okay. The Nichse Rechelma. So the Gemara asks, what are the Nesachim of the Rechel? It's not mentioned in the Mishnah. The adult female sheep. Since it says that the ticket, the seal, which said Gedi, is for the Nesachim of sheep, adults and older and younger, males and females, Nichse Rechel, an older female sheep, right, which is above 1 year old, is Knichse Gdi. Okay, Ksiv. It says that is this is what you do, the Nesachim for the shore or for the aisle or for the sebek sabim v'yizim. So there's no distinction here in main and cattle. Magid shlo chilek ben niske egel niske shore. Whether it's a calf or a fully grown ox, no difference. Shabedin, logic dictates there should be a distinction. Ben atzon ton nesachim, ben abakonis ton nesachim. They both are kind of nesachim. Sedish chlog ben niske cheves niske ayev. We find a difference between a young male sheep and an adult male sheep. Nachlok ben niske egel and egel niske shor. So differentiate between a calf and a fully grown ox. Tamulam rekach says shor echad. Magid shlo, that's what you do for shor echad. There's one unified measure for shor. Magid shlo ben niske egel niske shor. So there's a distinction between niske and egel shor. They're all the same nesachim. And we'll stop here for today.